here's my attempt in making a treasure box, or a chest box, or whatever box you want to call it, for my 7-year-old cousin. And I thought this project was going to be easy because it's just theoretically, it's just a rectangle box. But as my design changed and as the complexity changed, it just became a nightmare to build. And during this build, I learned that I don't like to work with small projects or small pieces of items. Large is what I prefer. So what I did was I had a piece of pine board that I was saving in hopes of using it for something. And this is something, the treasure box. And I have a bandsaw that sits there and does pretty much nothing. So I want to utilize the bandsaw by taking this one rectangle pine and splitting it in half. And in my head, that split would have been perfectly down the middle. But as I was splitting the wood, the blade did not stay perfectly straight, so there were some high spots and low spots, which I ended up sanding. And if you look carefully, some pieces of wood are thicker than others. So after splitting the wood in half, the long dimensions are 10 inches and the two side walls are 5 inches. So the box is 5 by 10. And working with thinner wood, I had to use 1/4 inch brad nails. And as I was stapling or nailing the nails into the wood, I had to be super careful with it because I didn't want to shoot my finger with it. And all the joints were butt joints with glue and the nail. And here I am just using the clamp to apply force, make sure that everything is nice and sealed. I probably shouldn't have sanded the box from this point, at this point, because I went through a whole lot of sanding with every step. So, but I didn't include those sanding parts in this video because there was this point. So here's the rectangle. A day later, when everything's dry, ran through the table saw, and one thing I learned from this is to apply even pressure against the fence, because once one side is cut, then there's flexibility in the wood. So that's how the box now looks like. And another thing I wish I would have done was sand the inside as well, because it became a pain in the butt to sand the inside after everything was nailed with glue. And then my attempt was to stain the inside of the box. This is my first attempt, stain the inside of the box cherry, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it, how it looked like. So that was design number one. And then here's the piano hinge. If I would have known, I would have made my box 12 inches long to begin with, because there's no such thing as 10-inch piano hinge out there for sale. So I had to screw the piano hinge down to my table and then use my angle grinder to cut down the length. And also I couldn't find any black piano hinges, so with this brass one, I had to paint the brass black later on. But at this point, I'm sanding down all the burrs so that there's no sharp edges and that she doesn't touch it and cut herself. Okay, so for the piano hinge, this is the 4th iteration of the piano hinge. Originally, I had it sitting inside so that you don't see the hinge. The problem is the wood was too thin for the piano hinge. There was no surface area for me to screw the piano hinge in. So the piano hinge ended up being on the outside of the box. So there, see the holes there? Those were my original hinge placements. So because the screws are so long, I had to use my carbide tool thingy here to cut off the excess screw so that, you know, she doesn't stab herself. And here's how the hinge looked like after being painted. So that my hardware is nice and centered, I punch or put a little indentation into the wood before screwing it in. That way the screw has somewhere to sit, a divot to sit into, and then I can easily screw it in centered. These screws barely, like, I don't know, like a hair length or hair thickness poke through the other side of the box, and that's how thin this wood is. So I ended up grinding off the tips of the screws. This little hardware kit came with a nice little lock, so it was pretty neat. Little skeleton key, open up the lock. Okay, so here's plan 2 for the inside of the box, of the treasure chest. I have leftover burgundy fabric from my katana, and I wanted to use it up. So here I'm just slicing up into the 5-inch and the 10-inch. And this is where my nightmare began. I had done some research on what type of glue to use for this particular fabric, and the internet recommended to use the spray-on adhesive. So I'm not sure if I sprayed on too much, because when I sprayed on a little bit on some section, you know, the cloth would not even adhere. It would lift or blister or whatnot. But in the areas that are heavy, it's soaked through the cloth, and now the cloth is forever, I don't know, has a glue stain that won't go away. Even, you know, I thought, hey, if I wait for the next day, it would dry up completely and it'll go away, but it doesn't. It's stuck with it. So this part, yeah, this part took some time to actually a lot of frustration on applying it, because the edge of the cloth would frail, or it would slip and slide. It wouldn't stay in one place, and yeah, the disappointment was the glue spot. So I took out my sharpest X-Acto knife blade and cut the edge off of the cloth. Some part looked very nice, and some part just looked like a train wreck. As you can see there in the box in the back, you know, some parts started to blister, and I didn't understand why it would blister. I mean, there was enough glue, but it would still blister. So, you know, that's something that I had to, you know, deal with. So the X-Acto knife, yeah, it made it easy cutting off the edge. And how I remove the frailing from the cloth is, I took one of those, I I don't know if you've ever seen them, but there's a USB lighter. It's just like a electricity lightning bolt, whatever, in a stick. And I just ran that across the edge of the clock, and they just ripped them apart and then just singed them. These little buttons here, I had them left over from the Katana. So to utilize them, I just put them there, in each corner for some decorative stuff. And to engrave Lily's name into the box, I took my square there and made sure everything was lined up, and then using this Dremel tool to carve out the name Lily. And this was my first time carving, so it was pretty hairy. So to apply some, or to add some color to this box, I had some, or I have some red acrylic laying around, and I don't have a pinstripe brush. I just have a regular square brush here, and just filling in the word Lily. And once the acrylic would dry, I waited for a whole day. I would resand the whole entire box. So the top part would be nice and even. All the over painted part would be gone. And then once I tacked the whole box with a tack rag, I applied a polymer layer over the entire box to seal it. Okay, so in my Cricut machine, I designed this little emblem or logo or whatnot. So it kind of matches the lock hardware, and it has her initials in it. So I thought it looked very nice right here until until I had to apply some heat into it, iron. So this part was also painful because I usually use an iron press, not an iron. So it took some time to get the heat going and the lettering stuff adhering to the red. As you can see, the little red thing there, the glue went through, or surface and whatnot. I couldn't get rid of it. It's there. It's been what, 6 days now. It's still there. And here I am branding my logo on the bottom of the box. And then you can see the little 4 rubber feet there that I also applied to it. And here's how it looks like in the end. There's my logo. And then here's how the box looks like. Now it looks like a vintage box. Yeah, that's what this box should have been. a vintage box. Just kidding. So here's, I'm gonna gift this for her for Christmas. There is a Sword in the Stone box right there, and here's also another lock with a key, and then this little cross thing. All three of these are jigsaw puzzles. She's into that type of stuff. So this is her Christmas present. I hope you guys like this video. I know it's crappy craftsman, but this is a big learning thing for me. Leave your comments, and thank you for watching. But leave your comments, really. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. See you later. Bye.